Oh my goodness. But thank you so much for agreeing to do this. We are live, everyone. Hello, 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 everyone. Um, Dr. Wendy, we barely got a chance to say hi to each other behind the scenes, but I'm glad you're here. And we are talking about how to talk about health at home without the stigma, without the
Yeah.
stigma. For our viewers who are watching, how many of you have had times where you felt like you were a little nervous about bringing up health conversations, didn't know how to start it, how to continue it, how to, communicate care in our lingo? Well, Dr. Wendy is going to help us today. So, Dr. Wendy, I'm delighted and honored to have you here. I have met you in person. You're a ball of energy. So I want you to bring it in. I want you to bring it on, not reel it in, bring it in and on today. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't even put on my comfy pants yet. This is totally comfy pant time. And I said, no, I'm not going into that mode yet. So
All right,
it's
awesome,
such a pleasure to
awesome.
be here with you, Dr. Tolu.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wendy. Now, for those who are watching hashtag live, those who are going to catch the replay, hashtag replay, if you know someone who should have this conversation or should, come join us, please share this with them. Maybe someone who could maybe communicate better with you. Maybe this could be a hint, hint. We're all here to kind of help ourselves elevate, even as we help ourselves live long and well. So, Dr. Wendy Schofer, I want to talk about you for a second before we start this conversation. I didn't know you were a lifestyle medicine physician too.
I am indeed.
Yay! Awesome. So she's also a pediatrician, she's a lifestyle medicine physician, and she's the founder of Family Focus. She helps parents raise emotionally healthy families without diets, shame, or overwhelm. So, Doc, talk to us. What are your hobbies, and why do you do what you do?
Okay. I have never, like, right out of the gate been asked, what are my hobbies? Thank you so much. I love that. So, it's funny. I love doing introductions and starting it off that, I just love black coffee, love black coffee. I love long dog walks and the sound of laughter, which explains a lot about my hobbies with loving to be outside, clearly with my coffee. And I love comedy. And so I love exploring and playing and just telling very bad jokes, just meaning that I think they're funny, but not necessarily everybody else does.
Right. You're right. No, no. So can you tell people what you say you love comedy? Can you tell them some of the things you've done? Don't downplay that, Dr. Chauffeur. Come on.
Okay. So I am an improv comedian and I am officially a professional improv comedian. I have been paid at some point in the past, so I will own that um, every single time. But yeah, it's something I've been doing over the course of the last 10 years. And I actually do more comedy taking it off stage than what I actually do on stage because remember that part where this is like comfy pant time?
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
I'm an early to bed girl. I really believe in the sleep pillar of lifestyle medicine. And so going to late night shows does not work for me. So I take improv off stage and into homes, into the
Ah,
office, doing corporate workshops, like just basically doing it on my time.
I like that. So you made it work for you. So win for them, win for you. I like Doc.
Absolutely.
But Doc, why did you go into like what prompted the focus, the family focus? Like
Sure.
what? Because I mean, you're busy enough as a pediatrician. You had a side gig with the improv. What made you decide to build this space?
So, I mean, it really was born out of frustrations that I was having in the office. And so I was, doing my job as a pediatrician and just I love connecting with families around concerns about, development, nutrition, growth, mental health.
Mm.
And I kept on finding it there was this constellation of concerns where parents were coming in and they're like, I'm concerned about my child's weight. I'm concerned about their eating habits. Not really sure what to do. Everybody's saying that, everything's fine. There's nothing to do, but I'm still concerned. And at the time, I was like, okay, I see where you are in the growth curves. Um, let's write up a plan. This is, you know, portions and composition of food and how much to eat, and this is, or excuse me, to move, and this is what it actually means to have vigorous activity and how many minutes and all that kind of stuff. And it said, come
Mhm.
back, see me in 3 to 6 months, because nothing changes overnight. And thank goodness the parents would actually come back to me and they would say, this stuff doesn't work. We're having food fights all the time. I'm, trying to serve food to my kids that they don't want. I am trying to get them to go out and exercise when I hate exercising. And so we're just arguing about this all the time. And I keep on finding candy wrappers underneath the bed. And I was like, me too. I'm having the exact same frustrations. And I was like, there's something that's not working here in our typical approach, where it's kind of like I spot a problem and I'm going to go and fix it and prescribe it and tell you exactly what to do. And it took me a hot minute to try to figure out what the disconnect was, because it was something that families were experiencing and I was experiencing it. This was such a shared experience. And the thing that really hit home for me was that parents kept on telling me that they felt that they were failing. They were failing, as a parent, failing their children. And it was something that really hit home for me, because I realized that when a parent feels that they're failing, we're failing the parent. We're failing the parent, the family. Like we're just not helping. That's where we need to focus. And so really family in focus was born from that, when I was like, the thing that we're missing is we're focusing on food and weight and portions. We're totally missing the relationships.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so the relationships with food, and relationships with the body, but also the way that our traditional approach is just really kind of disrupting the relationships at home. How can we build that? How can we support that as we're creating these, habits that we actually want to see in our families?
So, Dr. Wendy, it sounds to me like what you're doing is helping broker that conversation, because the speaker, the person who's starting initiating the conversation, and the person it's targeted to, they care about each other. There's a care, but there's a disconnect in the communication that is affecting the output. And so you create a space to teach how to have those conversations. So what the person is trying to communicate, care, love, is received because it's communicated well. I love what you
Absolutely.
do. I love what
Absolutely.
you do, Doc.
It's
And
all
and,
about
re-
connection.
and real quick, for those of you who are watching, if you've ever felt awkward starting a health conversation, drop a me in the comment. Let's be honest here, because when you give that example, I felt like, man, that sounds like me. Where so
I'm
I'm
like,
gonna
how do I put that in? I want to type it
I'm
in.
like
Hit me.
me,
Absolutely.
and so, like, I guess my first question would be then, how can families start the health conversation without it sounding like criticism or judgment or sarcasm or flattery? Like, you can
Mm,
get to like, oh yeah, you're perfect. So how do we start?
yeah.
How do we start?
I think that it's going to look different for everyone. And I think it really looks, because at the heart of it, it's like, well, what do you mean by the health conversation? Usually there's something that's right in front of us that we want to talk about, something that we're trying to maybe shift or introduce. There's kind of like a focus around it. And so when we're talking about food in particular, like with meals, hey, we want to try something different. Um, a couple of things that I really recommend with families is to, remove the individual family members as well as the individual foods from it, because it's not about one particular person. It's not about one particular food that we say, oh, you can have this or you can't. But what is it that you want to do in your family? Like, how do you want to create meals? So one of the things I think about is the division of responsibility. If
Okay.
you're familiar with Ellen Satter, and she talks about how parents are responsible for the basically what's on the menu. So what's being served, when, and where. So if I'm saying, hey, tonight for dinner we're going to be serving, um, I don't know, minestrone, and we're going to have some, a side of some bread and, whatever it is, like whatever's on the menu. Okay, that's my decision. And it's going to be at 5 o'clock and we're going to eat at the table. And then once the food is put on the table, then it's up to the kids. Their responsibility is how much they will eat, if they will eat, and which of those items they're going to be eating, whatever's been served on the table. And so the conversation about health is saying, this is what we do in our family. This is how, like, this is the food that we eat here. This is how we eat, when we eat. And you get to decide how hungry you are, how much you're having.
Hmm.
So the conversation about health is actually more about the conversation of this is just how we do it in our family.
Hmm.
You look like you're considering something there.
So it's more, it's not their fault. Like it's what you offer them. That it's what's offered that they get to choose from. So maybe creating a system where there are healthier options. That's what I'm hearing. Um, and then letting them have a say in what they, yeah, like letting them, yeah, not trying to control everything or
Oh
give them
gosh.
options.
Well, and I think that that's a thing where we've gotten this message that it's like our job as parents to control everything. And that's a lot for us to do. That's a lot on our plate because, focusing on how much they're eating and what's the components of all of it and when and where and how many portions. That's a lot for us to do. And it comes across as controlling, as we're trying to control what our kids are doing and how they're eating and how they're growing. And I got to tell you, like, anytime somebody comes up and tells me what to do, I tell them where to go. Like, we don't want to be controlled. We don't. And so if we're coming in, like, you will do it this way, of course there's pushback. That's normal. That's normal human development that we're like, I don't want to be told what to do. We're developing autonomy in our kids. So, of course, they push back. And we are able to create patterns where this is how we do it in our family. This is my job. That's your job. This is what I'm responsible for. This is what you're responsible for.
Okay. Now, so how do you encourage for, let's say you have the kid who is like, I don't eat vegetables, I don't eat fruits, I don't eat anything that is not fried or buttery, or like how do you begin that conversation and you have it offered there? Like
Hmm.
this is, for the frustrated parent who's like, I know fruits and vegetables are good for you. And yes, I've offered a variety of options. How do you address that parent who's like a little frustrated and feels like I feel like I'm not doing a good job if I let them just eat only what they want?
Yeah. I feel that. Like, that is a real, real situation. And it's something where I first want to really connect with what's going on before I come in and say, well, this is what you got to do. Because I don't understand right now, well, why is it this way?
Hmm.
Is there some kind of, is this an ongoing pattern? Is this a new pattern? What is it that, they can share about these food choices? Or, if you want to look at it as food restrictions, like they won't eat these different foods. Um, and also looking at, telling more about what is the pattern of foods that their kids will eat. So a lot of times we kind of label and say, well, they won't eat all these different foods, but what is it that they will eat? And those are good go-to foods to know that those are safe for the child. So a lot of times when we're trying to create change, there's a lot of things they're trying to do all at once and say, well, I'm just going to try to, feed them all these different foods. And depending on the child, it can feel very unsafe for them because everybody's trying to force them to do different things, to try different foods that they're just not familiar with. Maybe there's, a concern. I, when I say about concern, I would want to find out, is there some kind of intolerance, any kind of allergies, any kind of like choking episodes? What types of foods are we looking at there? It's really looking at all of the patterns. And the other thing that we do is we also remember that eating is something that takes practice, just like everything else. Just like, getting on a bicycle, getting up and dancing, shooting hoops, whatever it is, it's not something that you just get up and you're just off and running right away. It takes practice. And so different tastes, different foods may take different amounts of practice, especially when they aren't as, oh, I like to say sexy. When they aren't as sexy, there are some foods that need some additional practice because they don't have the same pow. So, of course, the sweet foods don't tend to need quite as much practice because our bodies are getting the message like, hey, this is amazing. We've got the sweetness, we've got the sugar, and our brains just go crazy with it. Well, it doesn't tend to happen as much with the bitter foods or maybe with some of the more bland foods.
I like that. So what I've taken so far from the conversation we've had is one, um, make little changes. Don't overwhelm your child with like, oh, you got to eat all these things. Have conversations around, okay, what do they like to eat? Or why do they not like what you offer? And practice. So don't give up with the first, second, or 10th try. Mm.
And well, one of the other things is that kids are on to us. They are so incredibly smart and they know how to work us. And I'm not saying this in a manipulative way. I'm just saying they know how to make it work for them. And so it makes sense that kids will turn down the foods that they you know, aren't as favored if they know that that means they're going to get their favorite food. Kids do this all the time. I actually just read an article this summer in the Atlantic about the pizza problem at school, about how, schools just keep on serving pizza and pizza and pizza because kids won't eat other foods. They throw it away. I was like, actually, this isn't a pizza problem. This is an adulting problem. We are just catering to what it is that kids are saying that they want all the time because we're afraid. We're afraid of what that means. Like, okay, they're not going to eat. Okay, I'm not saying for kids to go hungry, but I'm saying if we're doing this and we're catering to what they want, go figure that it means that they're getting pizza at school, at the after school programs, at this parent's house, at that grandparent's house. That's why we eat pizza all the time. Nobody wants to be the one that says, you know what? That's not what we're doing here. That's not the way we do it in our household.
I like that. That's not how we do it here. We don't eat
Yeah.
pizza all the time. Okay. Um, so I have a scenario. I have a parent who is concerned because went to see the doctor and they said did an A1C maybe based on size and there's a strong recommendation to lose weight to reduce the risk of diabetes. And the said
Mhm.
parent is worried about because the parent may have diabetes.
Mhm.
All right. So how can parents, separate their own experiences or their own challenges and not project it in a way that is well received by the child? Like maybe tips, because there's that, parenting like fear, like, oh my God, I don't want my child to have this. And like, are there tips as far as that conversation or how to not even isolate the child while treating everybody else to whatever they want, but this one eats lettuce all day?
So there's a couple of things inside of that question.
And that was
So
loaded.
it was a little bit loaded there. So I actually think I look at things very differently. So, yes, I'm a pediatrician, and I really believe that the parents' concerns need so much more attention. So, parents will do anything for their kids, including all of the focus, all of the energy, saying, I'm going to change everything for my child, and then they aren't taking care of themselves. And so I truly believe that there is effort and energy that needs to be placed on that parent and their concerns and their health. Because when we start focusing on what it is that they need for themselves, it's amazing how ripples start happening throughout the entire family. You take care of your diabetes, you take care of, what it is that you need. Guess what? The kids benefit too. And
Mm,
again, that's the whole thing where it's about, doing things for the family and not for individual children.
okay.
I've found this time and time again that focusing on what the parent needs will create much easier, actually, changes within the entire family.
Okay, I like that. So I'm going to ask like this question because I thought it was a good one. What's a better way to say I'm worried about your health? I'm going to ask like these are practical for those who are taking notes. What's a better way to say I'm worried about your health without you coming across as I don't like your body?
Ooh, ooh. All right,
Because
so go ahead.
because when I, as a family physician, sometimes I'll see the parent and the child, and I can
Mhm.
see the falling face of the child, the shame and the like self-esteem, and mom's like, yeah, you hear, so it's and she just interprets to it's my size, that's what's getting at her because the way she looks at me and things like that. So what's the better way to do this, please? Because I believe the moms are like trying, they want to say the right way, but
Yeah. So, and I just want to clarify because there's a little bit of a nuance here. Is that for parents to say it, or are you talking about as a physician in the office?
I would say as a parent, and
Yeah.
then we'll go to the physician because we could use some help too.
Okay. So I truly believe, and the similarities between both of the situations is that it's connecting with the person. So connecting with the child, and just the way that you were describing about how the child's looking kind of down and they're kind of withdrawing. I would actually want to connect with that and say, hey, it looks like you're down. It looks like you don't feel so good. What's going on? And actually connecting, asking the child about what they are experiencing, saying, observing what is it that you are seeing. A lot of times we're trying to like make this like a generalized thing and saying, well, I don't want to focus on weight. I don't want to say it's about your eating habits. So I'm just going to call it health. That is so generic. And
Okay.
kids also take it right away to, so you're talking about my weight, you're talking about my eating habits. Like it's kind of like code words that they just switch. They know what, what's actually, kind of like buried underneath that. But where I really think the opportunity is to be able to say, hey, I see that, you know, you're down. Tell me a little bit more about that. And let the kids actually drive the conversation. The more that kids are able to share what they are experiencing, the more that parents get to listen to them, okay, and not make it about, well, I'm coming in and trying to change everything about you.
Okay. Ask kids what they're experiencing. And then let's say a child says, oh, sometimes I feel really tired, or um, I feel like sometimes I have to eat, certain foods to stay awake, or I enjoy this. Like, how do you
Yeah.
start to tease out the connections between, like, how do you go from that, the experience to next steps to empower the parents?
So I actually slow it down a lot. Okay.
Okay.
I really slow it down because I know we want to try to get to the good part.
Yes.
Get to the good part, to where we're creating the changes, but really that connection is really important. Slowing down. And I do a lot of work, it's on the emotional basis, like really connecting to where a child, a partner, a parent is emotionally before we try to get to, okay, well, no, seriously, we got to like change the way that you're eating. Because if we go right to that, we're actually disconnecting. And that's where shame is coming in because the message comes across, well, there's something that's wrong with me. There's something wrong with my body, the way I eat, the way I do things, the way I behave. And that's where shame comes in. Shame is the feeling of, there's something wrong with me. And so that's where I really slow it down to be able to first connect on a just human level. This is what I observe. This is what I see. What are you experiencing? And I know it sounds like it's like so slow. Like, when are we going to get to it? I promise that as we are building this connection, slowing down to be able to connect with another human on an emotional level will pay off in spades. This is where I think that's
Mm.
the phrase I'm supposed to use, but it pays off. It really does because it builds and builds. We keep on talking about how we want our kids to have healthy relationships with their food and their body. Well, guess what? That is all based in emotions. It's all based in them getting to slow down to actually see how they feel. And if we're just coming right in and trying to change all of it, we never give them the opportunity to develop their own relationships.
So for the parent who's watching, who's like, "Whoo, this is tough," um, are there questions that help guide this conversation? And how do you encourage parents not to give up? You
Yeah.
know, because they're not going to be in your office all the time to kind of connect and have the conversations. Like, what are encouragements to the parent who are watching who are like, I don't know if I have time for this. Doc, help me. I like shortcuts.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And here's the thing. We've all been trying to do all the shortcuts. They're not working. Like we're really trying to like get there quickly and we're trying to circumvent everything and just make it quick and easy. We are very quick and easy focused right now. Everything is about convenience,
Hmm.
growth, relationships, emotions. They're messy. They're not convenient. They're not quick. And they are totally worth every single bit of investment that we put into them. And so I get it. This conversation is actually really different in this culture. The way that we want everything quick and easy and convenient and focus real, the quick fix. It's just that that's not working for us. It's not working for our kids. It's never worked for us, with our own health. And so understanding that is why I actually work with parents more than anything with kids because it gets to start with us. Slowing down for us to actually be like, hey, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about my body? How do I, slow down as you talk about, like being mindful and slowing down with your food? Well, how do you do that?
Hmm.
How do you, kind of like check in? Am I hungry or am I bored? Am I hungry or, am I just frustrated and I just want to eat something just to not feel frustrated? We have to slow it down. And the work that we do, kids notice. Oh, they are amazing. They pick it up so quickly. The families that I work with, they describe about how their kids are creating changes. I'm not working with the child. I am not working. I don't meet with the kids. Meet with the parents. And it's because the parents are creating changes that the kids are benefiting.
Wow. So the change starts with us. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more
The
time?
the change starts with us. I mean, from the
It
get-go, you've been
does.
saying that this is what we do in our house. Oh, you don't like that, what do you like to eat? What like so are there, because we're, oh man, we got 2 minutes. Wow, this conversation went really quickly, Doc. So for the parent who's like, okay, Doc, I want to start changing as a parent. I want to do better so I can improve the outcomes for my child's and his or her relationship with food. What are three things I can start implementing today, um, in lieu or pending me meeting with you to coach me through and teach me, or maybe sign up for your program? Like, what are three things I can start to implement now, that could
Yeah.
help?
Yeah. So I got to tell you, the first thing that I always start with is to just take a moment, take a pause, take a breath. And anytime I say that, I got to take my own breath because it feels so good. But it's truly about slowing things down, not because we're trying to drag things out, but because it's actually about taking that moment for ourselves, disrupting the patterns of all the go, go, go. And you and I know through our conversations in, medicine about activating the parasympathetic nervous system, slowing it down. This is actually nervous system regulation. That's what we're doing. And so we're kind of cooling down the temperature in our home just by taking that moment for yourself. So, second thing, I always start looking at the patterns. What is it that you're observing in the household? So, we can start off with what is it that you're observing around eating habits? Maybe what types of foods are being eaten, when they're being eaten, where they're being eaten. And right now we're focusing exclusively on eating stuff, but looking at the patterns. And then the third part is actually starting to look at what are the patterns of emotion that you're noticing around food. Now that's the third step where it's like kind of like taking the pattern that you were noticing in the first part. You're like, hey, I noticed that whenever my child comes home, they go right to the pantry. Okay. Totally legit. Awesome thing to notice. What is it that they're eating in the pantry? I bet you it's probably not carrots and dip. Bet you it's not in the pantry. Okay. So they're going for certain types of food. And then what is it that they're experiencing as they're going to the pantry? Because ultimately, if we are going to change our eating habits, it's about understanding what is driving us to eat. That's emotions. More often than not, it's the emotions. So, frustration, exhaustion, irritation, boredom, mindless eating. And that's where I really step in and say, hey, I can help you, walk through this process together because this is a different conversation than what we're used to having. In my, in my household, in my training, it was always that there was a time and a place for emotions, and it was never here and it was never now. And so it was kind of like emotions are for somebody else. This is just a new conversation that we get to have now. And again, it's so powerful because that's what's building the connection and understanding why we're eating. And if we're going to create change, if we're going to shift our eating habits without creating that friction, the shame, the harm, like, concerns about restrictions, well, that's where we get to connect with emotions.
So funny. This is really for the parents because we
Can we say that one more time?
yeah, this is for the parents. Oh my goodness, because sometimes we're seeing the things that we do in our kids. You're tired, you eat. You're upset, you eat because that's an outlet. But we don't address the source, and so and then kids. I don't know. They're sometimes they have a harder time maybe in communicating how they're feeling. Like they had a rough day. Um, they're exhausted. They didn't sleep well. Sometimes I find that out, like poor sleep. They're tired, so they're trying to stay up by eating. I see that quite a bit too. And so understanding the emotions that drive the decisions will help us more than focusing on the expression of the emotion, I think. Whew. Okay. All right.
And there's so many levels because, like, as you talk about lifestyle medicine, and
Mm.
if you want to like pull me off here with the timing, you just let me know. But as you're talking about the different aspects of our health, sleep absolutely is one of those patterns to really observe. How does the sleep really influence or impact our eating habits? Spoiler, tremendously. Like it tremendously does. And so it's, again, not all about controlling the food, it's about understanding the bigger picture of what else is going on. And so, again, I can't just come in as a doc and say, you know what, you just got to cut out these foods, you got to move more over here. If I'm not looking at that big picture, if I'm not engaging with the parent, because they've got the front and center, view on everything that's happening in the family, and their role is key to being able to create the change, and also because the apple does not fall far from the
Right.
from the tree. We have the same patterns in our families. Family members are practicing the same thing. So when parents get to say, oh, hold on a minute, this is important. I want to change this for my child. And it actually starts with me. We actually get to impact the entire family. It is so incredibly powerful.
This was good. This was good. I'm glad we had this conversation.
Me
All
too.
right. We are past time, Doc, but for someone who's watching who's like, man, I would love to follow you to find out more tips on how to have these conversations, starting with me as the parent or starting the steps. So like, where can people follow you? Where can people meet you? Like, what's the process, Doc?
Absolutely. Okay. So thankfully, there's one of me. Okay. So as long as we can get my name spelled correctly, we're good.
Ah,
So again, it's Wendy Chauffeur MD. And so I don't know, can I type this in? I'm not sure if it's me or you or where it comes, but
I'm
um,
actually putting it down, the www.wendychauffeurmd.com.
there you go. And you spelled it correctly. You got the C in there. We are rolling. So yeah, I host everything about family in focus from that website, from the Wendy Chauffeur MD site. And you can learn so much more. And then you also have the connect links as well for meeting up with me, and we can discuss. About what it is that you're noticing in your family, what the opportunities are, and be able to see how I can help as well. And then, of course, feel free to check out my YouTube channel at Family in Focus One, because that's just fun and you get to see a little bit of a different side there. Oh, I love what you're doing here. This is amazing.
And then your scheduling link is also there as well. So there we go, and it's in the comments as well for those who are watching. This generation, the one after, could use help around conversations like this, and so we're learning the tools because our goal is to improve their health outcomes, not to control them. Yeah, all right. So but thank you so much, Doc, for taking the time to meet with us. The time went fast. So, we'll probably have to do a part two of this, maybe in a couple
Bring it
of
on.
months. All right. And I'll keep asking better questions. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this so very much. And these are exactly the questions that parents are asking right now. So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you all for watching our guests. Giving you a shout out at the Eve was here. Ms. Porter, good to see you. And for those of you who are watching, and I can mention your name, giving you a virtual shout out. Please show Dr. Wendy some love. She's a busy woman, but she took out time to come hang out with us today. Doc, I really appreciate you big time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Such a pleasure.
All right. All right. It's a wrap. We'll do a part two. So stay tuned. As always, follow, subscribe, share with friends, encourage them, encourage parents. Conversations can happen and we can do it a better way. Okay. And as always, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough and compassionate family physician that will have conversations like this to help you live long and well, you know it. I am she. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks.